Hello, welcome to Yoga Rock Spot. I'm Helen Revel and this is David Lurey, who's been teaching us for us this week at Yoga Rocks. So, how is it different teaching a retreat to teaching classes?
Good question. Teaching retreat, I find, gives an opportunity for me as a teacher to interact on a different level with students, because they're not just coming for an hour and a half and then going back to their daily lives. We are eating together, we are hanging out, we're going to the beach. There's the whole experience of being together on retreat that gives a much more interpersonal level. So during retreat, this retreat is 1 week, so there was 6 days of yoga classes. We can build in a sequence through the week, which you can do in a regular yoga class, but here you have a fixed set amount of people and the same people coming. So you can build the sequences of postures, you can work with the different elements in the weather, you can work with the energy levels of the people to really make much more of, I think, a personalized yoga experience.
And do you think there can be a massive transformation in 1 week?
Yes.
Nice. So, and you've done acroyoga
Yes.
this week as well. And how's that been? And how is it yoga and how isn't it yoga?
It's the magic question. That's not yoga. Acroyoga is yoga, I believe, because it allows people to be very much in the moment. It forces people to be in the moment, and this is what Patanjali says, Atta Yoga Nushasanam. Yoga occurs in the now. If you are not in the present moment and someone else is on your feet, kapow, this is not a good situation. There is also a huge amount of interpersonal work with communication and with trust, and also with the ability to be hypersensitive with touch and listening through other parts of your body rather than just your ears. To me, this is all part of a well-rounded yoga practice. Trikonasana in itself is a pose and can have all of those things in your own internal dialogue, but when you add another human or several humans to the equation, it takes the yogic experience on a more outward interpersonal level. And that's why I think it does incorporate yoga. And primarily, we work with a philosophy of ahimsa and satya. Nonviolence and truthfulness are two very, very important principles, whether you're doing therapeutic acroyoga or acrobatic acroyoga. How is it not yoga?
How could you make it not yoga?
How could I make it not yoga?
Yeah.
I could come drunk to class.
Then fall off.
Yes. Yeah, you can make it not yoga just by, the acrobats and circus performers do some of the same tricks without breath awareness, without integration of total presence, without the interconnected, essence that happens with acroyoga. This is how it can very easily be not yoga.
And so awareness is an important part of yoga, and especially taking yoga off the mat, which is possibly the most important part of yoga, because these asana are not so important really. So do you think that in this society where we are very spoiled, especially some people extremely spoiled and maybe don't appreciate that, do you think yoga helps you have an appreciation of what you got, to have an awareness of where you are and how you are, and that most people who I come into contact with are very lucky to be practicing?
Yeah. As with most questions I'm asked, yes and no. Yes, because I have seen in a lot of students that I've worked with, whether they're teacher training, retreat, workshop, just coming in for one class, that hopefully the teacher and the teachings work together in such a way that bring about the gratitude and the beauty of every breath, of every moment of our life. That's not always the case. But with, what I believe when the teacher, the environment, and the situation are ripe, for sure it brings people into a deeper place of awareness and really wonder, like not wonder like thinking wonder, but the wonder of, the English language is difficult, huh? But the wonder of life, it's truly a miracle. Every day I wake up and I think, oh my God, just 8 hours ago I closed my eyes and I don't remember anything. And now I am here and like the food I ate has become my cells, and I'm going to poop this and I'm going to drink this and it's going to become my skin. Like, I'm totally amazed at my body every single day. And to continue on with the no side of the question, those that come to the mat with already a very strong egotistical foundation can oftentimes be fed more things to fuel that. To be fed more things like, I'm so great, to I'm so good, and all of the positive things that happen within a yoga practice can easily be misconstrued.
So this glamour of asana is very glamorous. These are the postures and made to be more glamorous as yoga becomes more trendy. And recently there's been a book called The Yoga Body, and I have to say I haven't read it yet because it keeps disappearing off my shelf.
Okay.
But it talks about how the asana is very recent development. And do you think if asana was, say, to be invented just this century and these postures didn't exist before this century, do you think that would change yoga if these weren't ancient postures?
Ask the question one more time.
So if these asanas that we're practicing as yoga,
yes.
A lot of people say that they've existed for thousands of years and people have been practicing forever.
Yes.
But this book claims, and some of the teachers do as well, that these asana are very, very recent developments, just this century.
Yeah.
So if this is true, does this change what we're practicing? Does it make it less valid if it's not an ancient art?
Yes and no. Clearly, yes, it does change things, because when we create identities and we create associations of things, and if there's an association with a posture that isn't really based in reality or like the story that we've come to know about it, then I think that there is a little shift with that. But if people are practicing yoga only for the asanas, I don't think that they're really embracing a full yoga practice. So for sure, in my classes and in my practice, I do things that are probably modern postures. I do things with my body that, 1,000 years ago, Maharaji Swami yogis might not have been doing. But for me, when I approach them from a yogic perspective, then I don't think it makes that big of a difference.
No. And
I also think, excuse me, and I also think that asana is a gateway for millions of people practicing yoga today, myself included. I started for the physical reasons, and then as I started to explore deeper a path of yoga, the path of yoga that I'm following, it opened up metaphysical, spiritual, cosmic, karmic things that I would have never known if I hadn't started doing Trikonasana to get a sexy butt.
And some people talk about yoga as evolution, and some people might see yoga's popularity as a replacement for religion. As religion is removed from society, then people may be looking for something else. So possibly this is why yoga is so popular at the moment, because it gives that sense of quietness that maybe people used to find in religion. Or maybe yoga is just a fad. So is it evolution, religion, religious replacement, or just a fad?
In America, maybe 10 years ago, when I was still living there full time, they had this thing called home meal replacement, and it was a fad. It was huge. There was all these restaurants that were coming up, and you can go and order this and this and this and get a package to home, and you go home and it's the home meal replacement. And I think that in the Western world, in Western Europe, in America, For sure, some parts of South America where I teach, yoga has become a substitute for religious experience, but also a catalyst for a new kind of spiritual experience. Because the dogma of organized religion puts pressure on people to behave and perform a certain way, or else God's not going to love you. And yoga gives you the ability to behave in your own set of guidelines, ideally that will follow a yogic path. You know, like when I teach about ahimsa, peaceful action, and satya, truthfulness, I'm not out to say, okay, these are the rules, you better follow them. I say, okay, here's what's being put forth, how do you interpret them? Because ultimately, you have to go to bed with your own values. I go to bed with my own values. And if I feel good about them, great. To me, this is a religious experience. This is a spiritual act. And if you are going to bed thinking, well, you know, I only broke this one today, and it's okay, I can do it again tomorrow. You have to live with that on your own experience on the karmic level. But I do think that with the link of Hinduism and yoga in Western practices, and mostly Europe and America, and also in Brazil, there is a strong reawakening of the identity of God. And it's not the old guy sitting on a cloud with a big white beard. For sure, it takes the form of some of the Indian, you know, the Hindu mythology characters. But at the same time, people are having God-like experiences within themselves and with nature thanks to yoga.
And ahimsa towards the natural world.
Yes.
Green yoga. Tell us a little bit about that.
Ahimsa towards the natural world is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and something that doesn't always happen in a very in-your-face, upfront way. This is the green yoga class. But oftentimes in a more subtle way, which you have here is ultimately an exponentially green yoga. If you haven't been here yet, there's a yoga deck right there that overlooks the sea. In the morning we're practicing with the sunrise, in the evening with the sunset. It's truly, truly magical experience. And when we can, as practitioners or teachers, have the experience of our yoga being completely integrated with the natural world, this is a green yoga experience. There are ways that green yoga can come about in our minds when we start to change our attitudes towards everyday sustainable living and putting ahimsa into our day-to-day actions. There is also ways with meditation, with mantra, to give reverence to the planet on a very vibrational level. She's calling for us now. You know, there was just this giant oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and I kept receiving these beautiful emails from people saying, we're holding a meditation for all the beings in the Caribbean right now, or in the Gulf of Mexico. And the same thing with these natural disasters. People are waking up and saying, okay, I can't be there in person to clean the oil up off the floor or to do this thing, but I can send metta. I can express compassion and love from my heart to the beings that are suffering here, and ultimately to the beings that caused it. Because blaming them and making them wrong is only going to create more defensiveness and build a deeper barrier. I'm not saying that anything that, you know, these corporations and the multinationals are doing is good in any way, but we have to look at it from the perspective of, okay, they're doing the best they can with what they have available. And from that place, what I feel is to offer them compassion and offer them love and say, wow, have you put yourself in the field of energy of a fish? Or what it's like to be a plant or a tree that has been chopped down to become, you know, room for a cow to feed so that you can eat it. These kind of situations, first coming at it from a place of compassion, because, I mean, I have a very idealistic vision. I don't think anyone really intends to do extremely bad. For sure there are bad people that do difficult things, but I think they're just doing the best they can with what they have available.